Welcome to the weekly worship service of the First Church in Boston, a Unitarian Universalist congregation in the Back Bay. First Church offers this broadcast each Sunday morning from 11 a.m. to noon here on 88.9 WERS. Our guest minister for today is Reverend Daniel Lawler, former ministerial intern at First Church. I'm Craig Hildreth, your announcer and broadcast engineer. Our featured musicians for today are Robert Winkley, piano, and Keith Eric, baritone. The prelude for today is Adagio, Piano Sonata No. 3, and the postlude is Allegro Vivo e Ritmico, Piano Sonata No. 3 by Norman Dello Giulio.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Whether you are in this chapel at the corner of Berkeley and Marlborough, or tuning in on WERS, or watching on social media, know that for this hour, at this time, whatever path has brought you to this space, you are in a worship community that affirms that each story has something to tell us. That the sacred is hidden in every encounter, and that we are constantly beckoned to widen our circle of care. I am so happy and honored to be invited to be one of the summer guest preachers here at First Church in Boston. If you are visiting for the first time, I warn you, 4 years ago I came to this congregation, and now I am a Unitarian Universalist minister, so you don't know what will happen at this chapel. And in that spirit of unexpected possibility and journeys that unfold, I invite us to sing our opening hymn, number 179 in the gray hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition, words that we hold tight. light a chalice to begin our moments of gathering. Whether in Hungary or Nigeria, whether in Kansas or right here in Massachusetts, the chalice is an invitation to light, to hope, to know that surprise is just around the corner. And in that spirit, I light this chalice and invite us to join in First Church Boston's unison affirmation, printed in your order of service. Will you join? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now is the time in our service where we have announcements. The work of the community comes from many. And at this moment, I invite any who has an announcement to come to the front and use our microphone.
Hello, I'm Beth Kern. I'm on behalf of the membership committee. We are doing our free summer fun series, and the next one is going to be Wednesday, the 3rd, I believe. We're going to be meeting up to see the Shakespeare on the Common, and so check the email and also let me know. We can have our our own little mailing list, so we can let you know about the details of when we're going and where we're meeting up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Margaret Moody, and as some of you know, I've been involved with some anti-plastic, single-use plastic activities, and there is going to be an action, a little bit of street theater on July 20th, coming up this week. If you want any more information, please email me and text me or talk to me, okay? Thank you.
And a special thank you to all the work behind the scenes that allows moments like this to happen. And now, our anthem.
So this morning's solo is Steal Away to Jesus, African-American spiritual, which is attributed to...
The solo piece for today is Steal Away to Jesus by Wallace Willis. You're listening to the Sunday worship service of First Church in Boston, Unitarian Universalist, brought to you live from the Ken Orton Memorial Studio in honor of the original voice of First Church.
They have both the known meaning and hidden meanings. And so for this particular spiritual, there is that sense of, stealing away to Jesus, going to heaven, but also it gave them hope of escape from their enslavement, because stealing away to Jesus was also the idea that you would leave your enslavement and find your way to some of the organizations at the time, like the Underground Railroad,
powerful song of liberation. I invite you to join in our responsive reading, which is in the back of the gray hymnal, number 557, A Common Destiny. This meditation is by Reverend David Eaton, who is an alum of Boston University and was a great leader in the 20th century in our movement in Washington, D.C. He helped grow what is now All Souls congregation into one of the largest in our denomination, one of the most multi-faith and multiracial. A common destiny. All living substance, all substance of energy, being, purpose, are united and share the same destiny. Birth to death, we share this unity with the sun, earth, flowers of the field, snowflakes, volcanoes, and moonbeams. Our destiny from unknown to unknown. May it be so. Now is the time in our service for a moment of pause, meditation, prayer. I invite you, whether you are listening on the radio, watching on social media, or in the third row in this chapel, to take a moment and pause. Spirit of life and love, bigger than the universe and smaller than a grain of sand. Spirit of truth that beckons us to see the rainbows around us, that pulls us forward in a world with many volcanoes, that invites us to resist the many barriers that are going up at this time. May we be curious, may we be creative, and may we be challenged to be awake to this moment. This is the first time in history that this moment is happening. May we be awake. Spirit, give us the strength to go forward in justice, equity, and compassion, honoring our traditions and creating new ones. May it be so. And now I invite Fern Beck to offer a selection from the book See No Stranger by Valerie Carr.
I want to start by saying thank you, Daniel, for being here because you are a gift to all of us. I believe the deep wisdom resides within each of us. Some call this voice by different names: Spirit, God, Jesus, Allah, Om, Yahweh, Buddha, nature. Others think of this voice as the intuition one hears when in a calm state of mind. My friend Jeremy calls the voice his inner professor, his teacher. My teammate Melissa calls her best friend. Whatever name we choose, listening to the deepest wisdom requires disciplined practice. The loudest voices in the world right now are ones running on the energy of fear, criticism, and cruelty. The voices we spend the most time listening to in the world and inside our own minds shape the way we see, how we feel, and what we do. When I spend time listening to people who are speaking their deepest wisdom, I can feel understanding, inspiration, energy, nourish the roots of my own wisdom. But I must not lose myself at the feet of others. My most vigilant spiritual practice is finding the seconds of solitude to get quiet enough to hear the wise in me. The voices we spend the most time listening to in the world and inside our own mind shape the way we see, how we feel, and what we do.
And will you join our hymn in the Teal hymn book, singing The Journey, 1009, Meditation on Breathing.
We'll sing this through 4 times. So it's more of a meditation, so this is what I we'll do it 4 times through.
When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. Wow. Wow. In the ancient book of Ecclesiastes, which is a collection of Jewish wisdom literature, there is a short story in chapter 9, which I'm going to slightly adapt, but I want to offer it this morning. There was a little city with few people in it. A great king came against it, and with their soldiers besieged the community, bringing great armaments against it. There was desolation, disruption, and fear. The judges yearned for the return of leaders long gone by, and others imagined some accommodation with the attackers. Now there was found in the city a poor, wise person, and she, by her wisdom, delivered the city. Yet no one remembered that poor woman. And so Ecclesiastes says, wisdom is better than might. Yet the poor woman's wisdom is despised, and her words are not heeded. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one bungler destroys much good. But wisdom delivered the city. Awe, curiosity, accountable action, Unitarian Universalism is a tradition all about the pursuit of wisdom from multiple pathways and multiple sources. Yet, as expressed poignantly by Valerie Carr and as just read by Fern, the loudest voices in the world right now are ones running on the energy of fear, criticism, and cruelty. Is that true? The voices we spend the most time listening to in the world and inside our own minds shape the way we see, how we feel, and what we do. Yet I feel hope Because today in this chapel in Boston, we're actually part of a whole community of people in Unitarian Universalist congregations, in African Methodist Episcopal churches, in Reformed synagogues, in communities all over the world asking, what can we do to widen the circle of care, to grow a culture of awe and accountable action in the 2020s, which still, it's only 2022. This decade has a lot of time left. This morning, I want to reflect on our faith movement in this moment and some possibilities from recent work that our National Association has suggested. Awe in our faith. Wisdom is better than might. For context, our Unitarian Universalist religious movement was born when Ruth Bader Ginsburg was just a few years out of law school. While our current faith tradition is new, we draw on ancient roots. The Unitarian tradition in this country goes back 200 years. The Universalist tradition, grounded in the larger hope, goes back almost 300. And all of those pathways connect with the stories we've brought with us into this room. At our best, Unitarian Universalism affirms that all life is unbreakably connected. We say that local communities can organize, can care for one another, and can choose their own religious leaders, that ministers have freedom of the pulpit, and that individuals have freedom of conscience. And we've expanded on the historic canons to find sacred scriptures in all works of human inspiration and nature, which we are part of. Because all life is connected, we have obligations to one another to work for justice, equity, and compassion in our relationships here and in the wider world. One of the youth in the RE program at First Church in Boston, when I was volunteer teaching, at one point, we believe in nature and democracy. And I was like, that's actually a really succinct summary of our tradition. And I've thought about that reply from one of our youth many times because it points us outward. Our congregations, even in this free tradition, are not independent islands, but we're part of a wider community of communities where we can work to cultivate values of support, hope, and possibility. You could go to Kenosha, Wisconsin, and find a Unitarian Universalist congregation. You could go to Louisville, Kentucky, where there's tremendous justice work happening, and find a Unitarian Universalist congregation. You could be in Manila, in the Philippines, where they're working to sustain press freedom after the return of the violent Marcos family, and you can find multiple Unitarian Universalist congregations. I don't know about you, but I'm happy to be part of a global network of religious communities reminding us that we are all tied together, that the sacred is all around us, and we have obligations to one another. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one bungler destroys much good. Friends, and I know you feel it, I assume you feel it too, there is a profound and very warranted crisis of confidence in all institutions in the United States of America right now. White supremacy is a deep and evil and organizing force across this country. Extreme weather caused by fossil fuel emissions amplifies heat waves, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Anti-Semitism and anti-Asian hate are on the rise. And every week, we lower the flags at half-mast because of a massive gun shooting. As a minister over the last year, I have encountered numerous conversations with a deep sense of fear, disappointment, and sorrow. And oftentimes, it does feel like hope is hard to come by. I currently work for Unitarian Universalist Ministry for Earth, which is part of the environmental justice advocacy wing of our movement. And one of our undergraduate interns recently shared with me, Reverend Daniel, Compassion is not enough. I'm about action, not just words. The people in power will only respond to power. And at a protest rally, one person got up in front of 500 people and said, "I'm 19 years old, and the people who run this country have let climate change get worse my entire life. How did they let this happen? And why do they keep applauding me for speaking out against it instead of just fixing the problem?" And another young adult, and I think I'm a young adult, but I'm not, but another young adult told me, "I'm tired of being told adults believe youth are their future when their actions honestly show the opposite. I'm disappointed and I'm angry." This might be jarring. These words break my heart too. And they point to this general churning of discomfort in our culture. If you trust Gallup survey polls on the confidence of the American public in the institutions of our society, loosely from the 80s to the 2000s, in the ballpark of 40% of the American public had a great deal or a very high percent of confidence in the leadership of this country. Newspapers, churches, organized religion, government, Congress, business. In the survey conducted this past spring, among the entire population across political perspectives, only 27% of Americans have a great deal of confidence in the leadership of this nation. Even if you account for the margin of error, that's only 1 out of 3 people. And if you look at the age distribution, the confidence level declines as you get younger. Currently, the most trusted institution in the United States is small business, higher than every branch of government, even more well regarded than the United States military, which is the second highest trusted institution in the whole country. Well, what about us? What about organized religion? 31% of the American public has a great deal of confidence in organized religion. And that level of confidence is down from 54% in 1994. So when I point this out, it's not to depress us, but to name what I think we all are feeling. And also to name that this crisis is not just in our nation's institutions, but there are heartaches within our faith tradition itself. As we know in ways so painful and personal, COVID has been a deep challenge to our faith movement and so many. And in a good way to awaken us to deeper relationships, but also in a hurtful way with the profound sorrow from what has happened to so many because of this plague. But I name in the wider context, the number of our active congregations has declined by over 70. The number of those who are weekly participants in our congregations nationally has declined from approximately 160 to 140,000. And most devastatingly, the number of youth and young adults under 18 in our congregations has declined from 54,000 to barely 21,000 because of all the disruptions. We are living in unsettling times. We are. It's not the same world as it was 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. The Unitarian Universalist organization at a recent conference asked, what and how will our living tradition keep up with the moment? Here's the thing. Wisdom delivered the city. There's an old Latin phrase, tempora mutanter, nos et mutanter in illis, which I might have pronounced wrong, but it loosely means times are changing and we are also changed with them. The thing about statistics is that interpretation matters quite a bit. The overall decline of congregations doesn't actually say anything about any one particular place, or actually is not predictive of the future. It's just what's happened. First Church Boston in the 2040s could be a 400-person congregation, a 200-person congregation, a 100-person congregation. Genuinely, as the young adults always tell me, Reverend Daniel, the future isn't written. The future isn't written. The future is not written. We get to write it. We get to write what this chapter is. We are not required or expected to live or believe in the 2020s as our ancestors chose to live in the 1920s. In this congregation in the 19th century, lay leaders in the 1850s broke with decades of evil tradition and began denouncing enslavement and participating in the abolition movement here in Boston. During Reconstruction after the Civil War, numerous lay leaders and ministers in this congregation worked to create a nearly half-century relationship between First Church in Boston and the Hampton Institute, a then new historically black college and university in Virginia. Since the mid-20th century, lay leaders and ministers at First Church in Boston have worked together to raise money to preserve affordable housing right on this street through a partnership and sponsorship at Hale House. In a city with ever-rising rents, year after year, people in this room work to make sure that decent, affordable housing is real, not just a verb, a word, but an actual reality. Since the late 20th century, First Church in Boston has been a champion for same-sex marriage equality as a religious value, and we embody the holy truth that a truly religious life means inclusion for all genders. That's why we fly the flags out front, to say as a religious community, all genders are sacred. In this congregation, we have changed time and time and time and time again. And I'm here to say, and I mean this because I've visited so many congregations, First Church is not here because it is ancient. It is not here and living because it has an endowment, but because at its best moments over the last 200 years, the leaders and the folks who are unsung, the quiet voices that we don't know their names, tried to live into love internally and beyond the walls of this building in ways that speak to and inspire a community to continue to gather week after week. When members in the past saw harms that had been caused, they repented and they learned from their mistakes and they tried to live into their sacred now. And from that, beautiful surprises grew. From that, the Art and Spirit program came. From that, the partnership with Greater Boston Interfaith Organization. My wife, Yumi, is very involved in civic engagement, and she says one of the natures of repair is that the individuals must ask, what will I do in the future, and how will I be accountable to that promise? What will you do in the future? And how will you be accountable to that promise? It's inherently a dialogue. Our faith is hard. It's not easy to see the sacred everywhere. It's not easy to constantly say, oh, we have to change again. I don't want to do that. There's that inherent human resistance. But we have a gift to welcome people. We have a gift to look back at a heritage that keeps changing. That's the legacy. Reverend Dr. Sophia Bettencourt argues in the recent Widening the Circle report, which First Church Boston has a copy and which you can find online. We, you and I, and those listening on the radio and watching on social media are the theological, the spiritual, the philosophical inheritors of teachings on universal salvation. There is no winnowing out of the supposedly unworthy that could be named sacred among us. It is our very universalism, our faith in the bigger hope that is at stake when we turn away from the impact that our institutions have on the same communities and groups that society encourages us to dehumanize and make small. We feel that crisis of confidence, but we have the gift that in our local communities, we can choose how we will respond. Multiple generations of people are looking for partners to build compassion matched with the power to do good. As the intern says, actions, not words alone. First Church Boston, from my reading of its history, has been at its healthiest and most impressive when it leans into the sacred now, reimagines ancient teachings, questions old idols, and seeks to embody that wider love. The 2020s are just getting started. They truly are. 8 years left. What will they say about this decade and this time in 2060? What will they say? May we listen to, as Valerie Carr says, the voices we spend the most time listening to in the world and inside our minds, shape the way we see, how we feel, and what we do. And may we listen in all encounters to wisdom. Thank you. And the work of the congregation is sustained by volunteers, by time, by treasure, and at this moment, we offer an offering for the good work of this community now and in the time to come. May it be so.
And now the offertory, The Call, 5 Mystical Songs by Ralph Vaughan Williams. If you'd like to support the work of this church with a financial donation, you may write out a check to First Church Boston and mail it to 66 Marlborough Street, 02116. You can also donate via text. Simply text the dollar amount, 5, 10, 20, etc., to 617-917-5610. You will receive confirmation via email. Thank you.
I'd like to read the poem. It's a 3-stanza poem which basically lays out in the first line of each stanza 3 nouns. And then those 3 nouns become the next 3 lines as a response to what those nouns mean to Mr. Herbert. Come my way, my truth, my life. Such a way as gives us breath. Such a truth
As Valerie Carr suggested, when I spend time listening to people who are speaking from their deepest wisdom, I can feel understanding, inspiration, and energy nourish the root of my wisdom. We extinguish the chalice, but not our principles or our values. Would you join in unison as we read the chalice closing? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Would you join in our closing hymn, number 131, in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. One of the blessings of being in this congregation during such painful times at the start of the pandemic was seeing how people wanted to help one another. And that taught me a lot about ministry and is something I'm carrying with me now and forward. Our charge to the congregation is from Reverend Hyun Hwan Kim, who founded one of the first Korean American Unitarian Universalist congregations in Los Angeles in the 80s. And Reverend Kim offers this benediction. The life of humanity is always preparing the life of tomorrow. May we be awake, and may we connect, and may we love. May it be so.
Please feel free to join us live each Sunday at 66 Marlborough Street at the corner of Berkeley Street and Back Bay. If you would like more information about programs, services, or membership at First Church, please visit the website www.firstchurchboston.org or send an email to office@firstchurchboston.org. I'm Craig Hildreth, your announcer and broadcast engineer. Thank you so much for listening. We will soon return you to the studios of WERS.
my father's arrangement of the
Yes,
poem.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
He,
Oh, that was your father's arrangement?
yeah, he wrote
Okay.
it for my sister who was a violist.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it's very special to us.
Yeah, I love the piece. I really do.
Gail Collins.
Oh,
That's the daughter he wrote the poem.
okay. How lovely.
passed
Oh,
on,
wow.
but-
Yeah, interesting. Very synchronistic. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Where did Bob go?
Well, you're welcome. You need anything from me?
No, we're all set, sir.
Okay, alrighty.